with the imported food, so to speak. Now, because of the way agricultural produce are subsidized, it invariably means that anyway, this is just trying to help that is supposed to feed the nation. We are even exporting them. All right, so this is what this is all about. Let's look at the food import drivers of the economy, where we'll talk about, where we've already talked about some of them. Population growth. Yeah, this is one of the driving factors. Population growth, where we have a rising population increases demand for food. Like I said earlier on, you know, there's no way that you have, for instance, let's take an instance of the Warri metropolis. Let's assume that as at 2024, the population in this city was about 4 million people. As at 2025, it rose, I'm just assuming now, that it rose to from 4 million to about 6 million. Now, the demand for some certain things in the city will increase. Those who are producing those certain things will fall short of supply. All right, so this is, I just brought that angle so that you understand this population growth. So when there's a rising population, this brings about increase in demand for food. So these are some of the drivers or the factors that are fueling Nigeria's reliance on food imports. Dependency. Now, the FX dependency is all about the foreign exchange. Now, Nigeria relies so much on foreign exchange to pay for imports. So when we import food, we tend to pay. Currency is put vis-a-vis with the exchange currency. In this particular sense, the dollar. You look at how it is. I mean, when you bring in your food, for instance, I'm trying to make this as simple as I can. When you bring in your food into the country, you want to ensure that it would not be something that will put a lot of hole in the pocket. Now, even if it does put a lot of hole, you owe so much on these foreign goods or foreign foods than even our locally produced food. I gave an instance of rice. I gave an instance of wheat. Your rice, for instance, locally produced ones, most of them, we have stones and chaffs. You know, you have to do a lot of picking, selecting, you know, the chaffs from the rice itself before you could eat. I've been to some places, not a restaurant. I've been to homes where I was served rice and I chose stone. It wasn't funny. All right, but for the foreign or the imported rice, you know, you can just chew and you can even swallow, and you know that you're rest assured that there's nothing you should be afraid of. All right, another driver that we'll look at is cheap global supply. Now, when it comes to some food items, it is expected that the supply of those goods is cheap. Now, surplus global supply keeps prices low. Yes, so when you have a lot of supply coming in, you want to look at it for those who do international business or international trade. You get to understand when we say cheap global supply. Now, when you have a lot of supply coming or surplus global supply coming in, there tend to be prices coming down, maybe as a result of discounts with the volume of what you are importing and all of that. But in the local market or for the local producers, it's not like that. You know, I mean, we you know, those kind of things. So yeah. One of the driving factors here again, or the key factors fueling Nigeria's reliance on food imports, is as a result of surplus global supply prices coming down. And then lastly, but not the least, is the processing advantage. Now, imported input actually supports local food manufacturing. Okay? In other words, you could import machine, those who are into mechanized farming, those tractors and, you know, machineries that you use or machines that you use in your mechanized farming, you know, those materials or those machines are imported from abroad. So processing advantage, not a problem when it comes to relying on some of the food imports that we have. All right, let's go away from that one. And another thing that we'll look at is the supply chain efficiency. Now, imported goods, I like you to understand, arrive processed. Okay, I don't think there is any imported good that comes fresh. If it's coming fresh, it has to be frozen. Okay, so it's all part of being processed. They are processed, they are packaged, and they are ready. That's for imported goods or foods. What about the locally produced foods? Are they processed? Are they packaged? Are they ready? You know, so these are some of the things. For the imported food, you see the supply chain efficiency, very, very efficient when the supply is ready. They are well packaged. I mean, only the packaging alone, for instance, would even want you to buy more of such, you know, and then they are processed. Like I talked about the green beans and what have you that we have seen. But let's look at bread, the producing of bread. About now, we have wheat that is imported, taken to the flour mill, where it is processed by large-scale flour mills across the country, and then taken to bakeries, where the flour is turned into bread and other baked goods, you know, in thousands of bakeries nationwide, and then taken to the different places where there's a daily consumption chain. You know, you look at bread. It's a daily staple consumed by millions of Nigerian households. So you could say that bread is locally produced, but how did it all start? It came from somewhere, the wheat imported into the country, processed into large scale for flour mills, taken to bakeries where they're made into bread, and then taken to households. So this is the impact of bread economy. Now we have bread value chain. Before we go on a break quickly, we could see the flow, which we just saw again, from import to flour mills to bakeries to consumers. So millions of jobs depend on this chain. So you could see what the foreign or the imported food could also do for the economy. So imports are not just competition, they are embedded in Nigeria's food system. It's not going to go away. But while imports scale efficiently, which we've pointed out now, local farmers are operating in a completely different reality. And that's what we'll be looking at in the next segment, the farmer's reality. We will be looking at the high cost and the low returns after this break. Stay with us.
Welcome to Dursag Engineering and Services Limited. A trusted name in the oil and gas industry, proudly registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission since the year 2000. We hold several specialized permits with the Department of Petroleum Resources, are accredited with service and product codes by NIPEX, certified by Dun & Bradstreet, and proudly ISO 9001:2015 certified. Our head office is strategically located at 43 Airport Road, Warri, Delta State, Nigeria. At Dursag, our areas of expertise cut across critical sectors, including manpower sourcing and supply, both local and highly trained expatriate personnel. Engineering services across civil, electrical, instrumentation, and mechanical works. Construction and fabrication works. Specialized procurement and supply. Operations and maintenance services. And integrated marine services, delivering supply boats, crew boats, tugboats, barges, houseboats, and speed boats. We are proud partners to some of the industry's leading players, including NNPC and its subsidiaries, Seplat Petroleum, First Hydrocarbon Nigeria Limited, ND Western, Saipem Contracting Nigeria Limited, and Lee Engineering. At Dursag Engineering, we are committed to quality, safety, and timely delivery, ensuring that every project meets and exceeds expectations. Dursag Engineering and Services Limited, your trusted partner in delivering world-class engineering and energy solutions.
All right, thank you for being with us and, of course, staying with us. But in case you just joined us, this is Money and Market on TVM. And today with the food imports or the local farmers' input. All right, before we went on the break, we said we'll be looking at the farmers' reality. And yes, we headed it to high cost and low returns. Probably we'll say why the farmers are not meeting the demand of the consumers. For millions of Nigerians, by the way, when it comes to farming, the issue is not demand. It is about survival. Now, remember I said something about not meeting the demand of the growth of the population, probably because the farmers or the locally produced food items would not meet the demand of these people. But the farmers are saying, no, it's not about demand. We can demand. I mean, we can supply rather, but it's not about supplying. It's not about demand from the people. It's about surviving. Okay, so let's take a deep dive into all of this. We'll look at the reasons they are saying this. Number one, which is very, very important and is key in what is happening in Nigeria today, insecurity. Now, the farming regions in Nigeria are disrupted, and of course, this will lead to reduced output. Is that a good reason? Yes. This can affect supply of locally produced food items. I mean, for the one thing that we know of is that the Middle Belt and the northern part of Nigeria, they are great farmers, and this is where we have volatility. We have issues of insurgency, kidnapping by Boko Haram and what have you in that particular areas, and of course header farmer clash that we've reported some few years ago and is still ongoing. These are enough to bring about reduced output. Let's look at the impact of insecurity on farming vis-a-vis trying to get food to the demand of the population. Now, 1% rise in insecurity will result into crop output reduction of about 0.21%. This will bring about decrease in crop output. What about livestock? It will also bring about a decrease of about production. That's what I've been saying, because when the farmers, they try to go to their farms and they cannot access the farm, how can they plant before they will now talk about harvesting? So it is with livestock. I mean, if you have your livestock farm, how do you want to go about that farm? And how do you want to produce to meet the demand of the population? Let's go away from this particular one. What about high input costs? You won't go away from this issue of costs, because when it comes to farming, you look at fertilizers, you look at seeds, you look at machines and what you use in driving the machines, like your fuel, which is in this aspect diesel. So mechanization is still limited. So it is still the normal local or traditional way of farming, where you see the farmer goes to the farm with axe, hoe, cutlass, shovel, and those kind of limited apparatus or tools that you could use for farming. So mechanization is still far from these people, because when it comes to the tractors or those machines that you want to use for mechanized farming, diesel. How much is diesel? How much is a liter of diesel now? About 2,000 plus or thereabouts. Okay, so insecurity and then the high input costs that the farmers will have to incur. Talking about seeds, they have to buy good seeds. Okay.